So what is this instrument? It is a local scalar energy environment. We've negated electricity. So my photograph is in that local scalar energy environment. It acts like a miniature star. It's so powerful, it can illuminate a light bulb in my hand.
Hi, Tom. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for the invitation. Hi, Sher.
Hi. Has anyone ever told you that you have these really so I don't know how to explain this, but you have like these awakened eyes. You have these eyes that you could just tell have a lot of light in them. That whenever I see yogis, whenever I see people who are deeply spiritual or have been practicing for a long time, I notice that they have this characteristic in their eyes. So I'm curious if you've ever heard that before.
Frankly, yes, a few people have mentioned that, and I'll say that I am open-minded, and I think I am able to accept these graces from God. So thank you.
Wow, that's so amazing. And we're about to get into, I think, the most fascinating conversation ever. I have to admit, I was a little bit skeptical. However, I'm deeply spiritual, and I really do. As soon as I read all the things that you're doing, it just really resonated with me. And this is I think beyond innovative. I know you were saying like this is like the Tesla of energy, and this is really a new conversation almost, even though it's actually the most ancient conversation. It's a new conversation that we're having. And I also want to commend you for how brave you are, and even just doing the work that you're doing. And I know the last couple of weeks, we've tried this on me. I've been also receiving some of your treatments. So I can't wait to talk about that, because again, I think you have to try it to really believe it. But before we get into it, I think I want to get into understanding how you got into the discovery of scalar light, or rather using scalar light as a more innovative form of treatment.
A good question. When I was young, as a youngster, I started to read Nikola Tesla. I would purchase books on Tesla. This is back in the 70s now, before the computer. And I would read about Nikola Tesla. And I said to myself, this is genius. We should pay attention to what Nikola Tesla is doing. And then it dawned on me, because his energy was wireless at the end of his life, and he was able to capture energy from cosmic rays or from the sun. I said to myself, this is not electricity. So it was Tesla who taught me initially, when I was a youngster, that you can capture energy, wireless energy from the sun, and put it to work. And that was it. I was off. I said, that's going to be my career. I want to imitate this, and I want to bring scalar energy, the energy of the sun, the stars, to humanity.
Wow, that's so powerful. So there's solar energy. So as you're talking, I'm like, okay, so I understand the way a solar panel would work, and there's solar energy. How is that the same, or how is that different from what you're talking about right now?
Another good question. There are two types of energy: electromagnetic energy that the world is familiar with, electricity, magnetism. So the solar panels on your home, or any type of, say, solar panel, is going to take in electromagnetic energy and then convert it to DC electricity. I'm not using DC electricity. I'm using a different energy spectrum, scalar energy. Essentially, this energy is non-physical. It's instructions. Whereas if electricity is the movement of electrons, there's no electrons with scalar energy. It's non-physical. So it is a different dimension.
Okay, so interesting. So I'm just going to read this a little bit. So you're using scalar light, and you refer to this as the light of God, or the creative strength. And all energy in the universe initiates as scalar light, as the sun of our solar system, as well as the stars. And this should also be known as chi, or prana, or consciousness. Or so let's get into that, because I think this is now that part where science meets spirituality. And I mean, you just showed me right now that you literally can light a light bulb, just bringing a light bulb close to this energy. So maybe expand a little bit on that.
Those are synonymous terms: scalar energy, consciousness, chi, prana. Those are synonymous terms. So when I'm speaking about this type of energy, it's not electricity. It is the other spectrum of energy, which is non-physical. Consciousness is non-physical. Chi is non-physical. Thought is non-physical. Prayer is non-physical. scalar light is non-physical. Now imagine what this means to mankind. We finally have an energy from the sun, the stars, that's clean. You can transport it, you can broadcast it anywhere in the world. You don't need a satellite. The universe is the mechanism. It's an, if you will, unlimited source of energy. There's no carbon footprint. It's impossible to have a chemical reaction because it's non-physical. I've worked with this energy for over 30 years. I've never had a physical reaction because it's information or divine intelligence. Now, put all of that together and many other benefits. This is the way to go in the future. I want to leave behind this existing paradigm of electromagnetic energy. It's seen its day.
Right.
Frankly, it's going to be obsolete pretty soon.
Wow. Okay. So you've been in this space for 30 years. So clearly this has been an evolution over these 30 years. And from what I understand, and from our last conversation, you're treating a lot of ailments using this type of energy. So
Yes.
First, I want to hear about your journey, right? Because
Okay.
I see like a spaceship behind you practically. And clearly, right, like, again, you're doing super innovative things. So tell me how you first started after obviously getting inspired by other people who are doing this in the space. But how did you actually get into it, and how did you continue to evolve it?
I think the most important thing is you have to have a thirst for knowledge. You need to learn. You have to have that desire to learn. And I did as a youngster, as a teenager. Then I went to college. I spent 13 or 14 years at the collegiate level, sometimes studying only part-time because I had to work. And at age 33, 34, then I said to myself, I have to now start on independent study. It's groundbreaking. Everything I've done is groundbreaking from that point on in my life, age, say, 33, 34. On account of the fact that this is a new science, I'm one of the pioneers of this new science. So how did I learn? Well, God gave me the wisdom, infused knowledge, but you have to go it alone. Yeah. There is no college textbook. So I've been at this now, this solitary path for the past 30 years, going alone, learning step by step. It's very fruitful, but it's painstaking. It takes a lot of effort, and you have to keep at it. You can't become disgruntled. It takes work.
Wow. This is a very special personality type. And I'm just curious because I see a very resourceful person. I see a very passionate and intelligent man right in front of me. And I'm just curious, where does that come from? Where does that hunger for knowledge come from?
God gave me that hunger for knowledge, and I always had that as a youngster. I always applied myself in school. I always wanted to learn, and I use my time wisely. And also myself, I don't waste time. Time is a gift from God. And I choose to spend my time wisely researching, doing something productive. Now, if you devote 40, 50 years of your life to that, you're going to get somewhere. And I've been quite productive because I've focused. That's the key to my work. I work alone. There is no staff. There's only Tom. But when God gives me this wisdom, this insight, I can accomplish a great deal if I focus.
Wow, I love that focused energy, and that's exactly what it is. It's focused energy. So, okay, so you're going through these 30 years of developing this technology that is quite innovative. Tell me what you're using it for. How are you treating people, and what are the different ailments?
Yeah. So right now I'm working with scalar energy, scalar light in quantum wellness, which is non-physical wellness. It's not a chemical reaction. Now, the instrument behind me is a scalar energy instrument in which it will employ a person's photograph to deliver quantum wellness, quantum health. I never work with people in the flesh. This is not a biochemical endeavor. This is not a biochemical action. This is non-physical intelligence, non-physical action on a photograph. Now, I'll explain. My photograph is a source of light. I can see you now in my computer. I see your light image in my computer, Sherry. It's not you in my computer, it's your image. Okay, so if we can see images in a computer on the TV set, why can't we see images inside a scalar energy instrument? So when somebody sends me their photograph, they bilocate, they travel to my laboratory by their photograph. just as you have traveled to my laboratory through this computer. And once again, I can see you clearly. You can see me. I can guarantee the audience, obviously, pun intended, you're not in my computer. It's your image in my computer. So I do the same thing. I take a person's photograph and I place it inside my instrument. And once I do that, I can access their aura or their energy field. That's the key to my research. This new science allows me to access a person's energy field, their force field, their aura, their spirit. So this science, scalar light, is proving the spiritual dimension. Remember I said this is non-physical. What type of dimension is it? It's the spirit dimension. It's non-physical. It's angelic. It's the supernatural dimension that I've accessed.
I feel like a lot of people are like, whoa, 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 Tom, like, okay, hold on. I'm going to give you a photo and you're saying that this is my light image and this is my aura, this is my spirit. How can we make that more tangible?
Yeah. Okay. With a scalar energy instrument that does not behave like electricity, we can access a person's energy field. Any photograph carries energy. My photograph is a source of light. That source of light, me, reports my physical, my emotional, my psychological, my spiritual constitution.
Wow.
I have a predecessor. He's the original inventor of this instrument. His name is Hieronymus. Hieronymus and his wife developed this process where they were taking Polaroid photographs and placing them inside the instrument back in the 70s and 80s. And they discovered that a Polaroid film had the imprint had the incorporated energy of a person. Hieronymus at one time was working with NASA, Dr. Galen Hieronymus, and Hieronymus was able to monitor the Apollo 11 astronauts during their moonwalk by their photograph. So we don't have to worry about distance because the quantum field is incorporated on the photograph of the astronauts. Just as my quantum field, my informational field, is incorporated, embedded upon the photograph.
Okay. So let me get this right. So right now at 44, if I were to take a picture of myself right now today, this is a reflection of my psychological energy that I'm emitting, my physical energy, my physiological, all of my systems, everything basically that's happening in my genes and being expressed right now. So the imprint on the photo. And if I had done that 10 years ago, the state that I was in 10 years ago also would have been the reflection that we're seeing on the photo. Is that correct?
No, what we find is that the photograph reports a person in the immediate moment. I'll explain.
Yes.
In a scalar energy paradigm, there's only one time, the present moment. There's no past or future. Everything coalesces into the present moment. This photograph is 3 or 4 years old. It still reports my heartbeat, my blood type, my phenotype precisely today in this moment. Now, that's another peculiar aspect of scalar energy. There is no time. There's only one time, which is the present moment. So when you hear the expression, we transcend time and space, we do. Regardless of where I'm located, I can work with my energy field on the photograph, and that energy field is in one temporal setting, the present moment.
Okay. So I know some of the things that you also use this for is to treat things like cancer and other diseases and conditions. Yes. First, I want to talk a little bit about that before I get into my rabbit hole of questions. So can you share first, when you do receive a photo, because I know when I sent you my photos, I didn't tell you, hey, Tom, all these things are going on with me right now. It was just, kind of something I left out. So when you receive a photo of somebody who is currently going through cancer treatment or who has been diagnosed with cancer, do you know what's going on with them, or is this just a photo?
It's just a photo. And if it's divine intelligence, frankly, I don't tell God how to identify or negate a disease pattern.
Right.
For instance, if I had cancer, my photograph would report it, would have that cancer marker, that cancer signature. A scalar energy instrument can ascertain a cancer signature and correct, negate it. And how do we do that? Let me explain what I think happens in theory, at least. That's a scalar wave.
Yes.
That's a double helix. This is a Tesla coil that's broadcasting that double helix skyward. So if we could see it, it would look like that. Double helix. What does that double helix look like to you?
Yeah.
It looks like DNA to me. So what's the point? I believe DNA, I can prove this, I think, at least by theory, that scalar energy is created by God, and that energy creates and maintains DNA. The exact ratio and proportion of a scalar wave is downloaded into DNA. DNA is a duplicate to scale of a scalar wave. There's no accident. There's no accident. So if this divine intelligence can create the correct DNA, why can't this intelligence perform a recorrection, a correction, or a reprogramming of mutated DNA? I believe it can. Okay? What does that mean? That means if I have mutated DNA on my photograph, I believe a scalar instrument can send the correct template to recreate, to reprogram my DNA. So I no longer have the cancer marker.
Wow. Like I just have to sit in that moment. And this is so interesting because the creative energy of the universe is a spiraling energy. And we see this everywhere. That pattern is everywhere. Even if you look at a plant grows, it still grows in a spiral. Everything happens. Look at my hair. It's a spiral, right? So this is interesting. And so what have you seen then? Because I know from our first conversation, you shared with me a little bit of the type of things that you treat. What have you seen then happen in people who do send you photos and they do have certain diseases such as cancer, as an example?
Yeah. For instance, if we isolate on cancer, I've been conducting a study in the past few months, probably 80, 90 people with cancer. And most of them now, after say 4 months, have reported back to me, and the greater majority tell me they're in remission. The greater majority say their appetite is returned. Many of them can both by providing some type of a medical test that says that their health is returned to normal, or some type of a cancer marker is no longer present, or is at least significantly reduced. Now, all of that is anecdotal. And to be very clear, nobody can prove or disprove acting upon a photograph to correct a cancer marker. This has never been done before. This is my groundbreaking research. But according to those 80, 90 people who I work with through their photograph, most of them tell me they're in remission.
And so obviously just for research bias, just to make sure that there are no other interventions. So while these people are going through this correction with you,
Yes.
Are they also doing other forms of treatments or changing their nutrition, or what else are they doing as well?
Yeah, you're right. Some of them are on chemo. Some of them have altered their diet. Some of them abstain from any type of chemotherapy. So it really is, it's a loose study, and I wouldn't even consider it a study. It's just my beginning, if you will, evidence, my mounting evidence through testimonies. I only can support my work by way of testimonies. There is no bona fide testing for scalar energy. There is no method to prove or disprove the existence of scalar energy or its application therefrom.
Right. And so what else? So what else are you using scalar energy for?
But many people come to me, they say they have a virus, such as Epstein-Barr virus or the herpes virus. This instrument can detect the herpes virus, or say the Epstein-Barr virus. Everything is a signature. Everything is a light source, a light signature. If I had the Epstein-Barr virus, it would show up as a signature. And then this instrument can not only identify the Epstein-Barr virus, but negate it, disassemble it, eradicate it. So it's very important to realize, before we have the chemical manifestation, I theorize that all disease begins as information. Let me repeat that. All disease begins as information, as some type of energy. And if we can negate the energy of disease, you no longer have any intelligence behind the disease. If you negate at that level of information a disease signature, a disease pattern, the disease is brought to a state of chaos and it ceases to exist as a disease signature.
Wow, that's so big. That's so big. And
it is. Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Why is this so important? Why am I so elated? The chemical level, the physical level has its impediments because there's thousands of chemicals and you have to consider all the permutations at this level. At the level of intelligence, you only have one variable. If there's a disease, you negate it as a signature. You don't worry about diet. You don't worry about a person's age. There are no health complications because this is not biological health. This is a new branch of physics in which we work with the aura of a person.
Right.
I address their aura, their energy field, having nothing to do with the physical plane, and hence there's no impediment because the physical layer, the biochemical domain, has many impediments.
Right. And so are you able to measure an energy field from a person's photo?
Yes. It's in itself, it's anecdotal because the instrument is not per se a quantitative measurement, but I have a way of ascertaining the presence or the absence of a signal. So when I place my photograph in that instrument, I can detect my presence inside that instrument. I want to be clear. The instrument behind me is a scalar energy force field. Let me demonstrate what I mean by an energy force field. There's so much.
I have to say, if you're listening in on audio, you need to see this on video because this is remarkable. This is absolutely going to blow your mind. Okay, Tom, go for it.
Okay. So what is this instrument? It is a local scalar energy environment. We've negated electricity. So my photograph is in that local scalar energy environment. It acts like a miniature star. It's so powerful, it can illuminate a light bulb in my hand. So this is the function of a scalar energy instrument. It fills this room, it filled my laboratory with energy. Here's another example. Here's a light bulb in a plastic packaging. The energy is so strong, it can illuminate a light.
Wow.
Okay, so that is a local scalar energy force field. And in that field of consciousness, that divine intelligence, the instrument can identify the herpes virus or the Epstein-Barr virus and negate it. The instrument, this energy, can identify a tumor and negate a tumor.
Wow. This is blowing my mind. And so some of the other things that you were talking about also was mental health. There were other conditions also that you were working with. What else? So besides some of these physical things, that there's a physical virus, or let's say a physical mutation in a particular gene causing cancer. What else?
I'm holding a diagram of chakras.
Yeah.
Now, what are we going to do with chakras? Chakras are non-physical.
Yeah.
We're going to respin, we're going to reprogram, we're going to recreate, so to speak, the chakras. If the chakras spin, it's a spiral, because scalar energy spins is the spiral behind the chakras. So many times when people send me their photograph, they tell me I'm able to balance their chakras, in their words. They're happier, they're digestives, they have a greater mental outlook on life. Some people say it's lifted their depression. How did I do that? Through a photograph. The photograph accessed a person's 7 chakras, which are non-physical, and respins, recalibrates those spinning vortices. That's the main vortex, scalar energy, that can download into a person's chakra system.
Yeah. Wow. And then just to bring it to the physical level, every chakra center also has nerve bundles and particular glands in that area that release hormones. And so with every single chakra center, there is a nerve plexus that's responsible for releasing hormones. So this is also super intertwining too onto the physical realm.
Yes, exactly. And it always starts as information, right, Sherry? It always starts as information, and eventually it follows its way down to a biochemical response. Exactly.
Yeah. So I sent you my photos. It's been almost 2 weeks now. I sent you my photos, and I think I sent you photos of my dogs and also my kids. And I'll tell you, I was like, okay, let's see if this works, Tom. And so I sent you my photos, and I was thinking, okay, I was having some digestive stuff. I'm like, I'm not gonna tell him. And then it's been like months now. Every morning when I wake up, my SI joint, my left SI joint, it's locked. It's like it's excruciating pain. It's bizarre, weird pain. I'm not lifting things. It's kind of like a phantom pain in the morning, but when I'm done with my morning meditation, it seems to go away. But since I've sent you those photos, my digestion is so much better. I'm not bloated. My elimination is better. I haven't changed anything around my diet or my nutrition, I want to say. And then this phantom pain is gone. Like it's so amazing. Like I literally wake up in the morning, like I need like a good hour to loosen everything up and let everything crack, but I haven't needed to do that anymore. So I want to say that's only been like 2 weeks right now.
Okay, so let's explain.
Not surprised. He's like, of course.
That. I don't mean to be flippant. I've heard this 10,000 times.
Yeah, tell me again.
You had disease signatures, or you had some type of signature of pain or inflammation or discomfort. And the divine energy, this double helix, this divine energy identified your disease signature, your inflammation signature, and negated it. You either have a disease as an informational system, or you negate the disease as an informational system. Well, it seems like your informational system, your informational mark of disease have been negated, because disease always starts as information.
Right. So let's also talk about the process, because I'm getting these emails and you're saying, okay, we're adding these minerals. So there's a lot of things that you're doing. Again, just to maybe walk through the process. And the other question I'm really curious about too is, how long are you supposed to do this for? Is this like an ongoing thing, and you're just, there's constant maintenance that you're doing, or, is there a recommended time?
There's no recommended time. I leave it up to people. Everybody's unique.
Yeah.
To be clear to your audience, I'm not a medical professional. I'm a scalar light researcher. So I cannot adjudicate a person's medical health. I'll let the person do that.
Yeah.
I have a technique that is, if you will, standardized. I repeat that process daily. So what you had yesterday is what you're going to have today, tomorrow, in the future. Right. So what am I getting at? People are free to come and go. There's no long-term membership. We don't do that.
Yeah.
Some people choose to sign up for 3 or 4 months. They feel great. They go off the program. That's that. They might come back in 3 or 4 months and try another, if you will, 60 days, 90 days of sessions. The key is to keep an open door policy and allow people to experience this. And they have to, because this has never been done before. This is not chemical engineering. This is not electricity. This is not medical science. No, none of those. This is the new science. And the only way we can explore this is through personal interpretation, testimonies.
Yeah, absolutely. So I agree with that, because this is not tangible, and to try to measure this without really having influence from other factors is quite challenging, I can imagine. And so talk to me a little bit about the minerals and what are these daily sessions that you're doing. So I know the first thing you said is you have the photo, which is emitting the aura of the person, and the light in itself is going to correct the helix and the DNA. Then what?
Okay. For 1 hour a day, if you will, I balance the chakras. I simply place a person's photograph in the instrument. The energy is so strong, it balances the chakras 1 hour a day. And then the second hour a day, I'm looking for disease signatures, anything from autoimmune disease, bacterial contamination, infection to tumors. And then for the balance of the day, I'll explain this, I am working with nutrition. I'll explain how that works. If this is a magnified photograph of riboflavin, if I place that photograph inside the scalar energy environment with the photograph, the two photographs communicate. It's always information. So the information of riboflavin is downloaded into me.
Right.
This is how I receive vitamins energetically in my quantum field. There's a new way of receiving information, a new way of receiving nutrients. not by taking it orally or eating or by some transdermal patch. I receive my nutrients by energy, scalar energy.
Insane.
I receive the information of a vitamin by way of this paradigm, scalar energy. This is the easy way of receiving nutrition.
Wow. Wow. And that makes so much sense. Again, we're talking about information, and every single tiny thing on the planet, in the universe, emits its own frequency, has its own energetic signature, if you will.
Exactly. And if I have a photograph of riboflavin, that's a unique signature of riboflavin that enters into my aura, into my force field. And this is how I receive nutrients. Every day I receive a multivitamin through energy directed through the photographic force field. A brand new science here. This is not chemical engineering. This is not medical science.
Yeah. And you really need to step away from the physical realm to understand this, because you're talking quantum physics. You're really talking about energy in the quantum and information in general. And so I think this also explains why you're very radiant and you do have that glow. And I think that explains also why we do get to see that light being emitted off of your eyes. So this is so remarkable. So what's next, Tom? So what are your next steps, and what is your plan around using scalar light?
Well, I have to introduce this first to humanity, and they have to see the benefits. Hopefully in the next 2 to 3 years, we'll catch on. We're having great results. And then another stepping stone is, why can't we use this energy to produce free energy for mankind? Again, the energy is from the stars. And when I want to broadcast this energy, I don't need satellites. The universe is the satellite. The universe is the relay station. So what am I getting at? Scalar energy is free energy with a free infrastructure. Our energy grid is obsolete, dangerous, expensive, and we rely upon electricity too much. I want to replace that electromagnetic grid, that, if you will, our grid system, even with transport of fossil fuels, with scalar energy. This is what Tesla wanted to do. A new energy system, wireless energy, free energy, clean energy from the sun and the stars. I want to power the world with scalar energy, not with fossil fuels.
Wow.
And then there's other gifts in mind. This energy can negate gravity. Some researchers have been able to negate gravity with this. And if you can negate gravity, then you can transport yourself to and from any location by way of an anti-gravity instrument. So you won't need highways anymore. You just transport yourself through the air through an anti-gravity instrument.
Wow. This is like what the ancient yogis are doing, Tom.
Yeah. There's truth to this. This is the marriage, if you will, between science and religion.
Yeah.
And really, sadly, they both speak of the same set of principles. The truth is reality, reality is truth. Whether it's reality from a scientific standpoint or a religious standpoint, it's the truth. And you cannot dispute the truth.
Yeah. So good. And something that's been on my mind this whole time while we were talking is just your spiritual perspectives. I'm really curious, because it seems very in alignment to also some of my beliefs, but I'm just curious for you. You speak of God a lot. You speak of this force, this energy, and what is your relationship with that? If you're
okay, let's look at the facts. If you look at the universe, the galaxies, and every galaxy has trillions of stars, or maybe billions of galaxies with trillions of stars. Anyway, if you try to count the number of stars, you can't. I believe the universe is infinite. So what's the point? What force can create a galaxy, let alone 2 billion galaxies? It has to be God. And if this energy is coming from the sun and the stars, then it has to be God's energy. How could any force, how could anyone, any event create a universe with trillions of stars? Let's just use the term trillions of stars. It has to be from God. So what am I tapping into? I'm tapping into God's energy. I firmly believe that at the center of a star, you find nothing but scalar energy. It's a plasma field. It's consciousness. It's 0 point energy. And only when energy leaves the center of a star and it emits out, then you have electromagnetic energy, which really is a solar flare. So why don't we just recreate a sun? Why don't we just recreate the sun? Why go through all this trouble with fossil fuels and wind farms and nuclear reactors? Just create a miniature star. It's that simple.
This is amazing. This is amazing. This is so fascinating, Tom, and I think you also offer, for anyone who's listening, who's a little bit like, yeah, right, man, this is what are we, right? I think you offer also a trial for people just to see for themselves how that works. So maybe you can share a little bit around how that works.
So as a researcher, I want to prove this. I'm all about performance, proving. My website is scalarlife.com. Anybody can visit the website and sign up for free sessions. On our website, we have a standing offer, 15 days of free sessions, no questions asked, no obligation. You don't have to do anything except submit your photograph, email us your photograph and your name. And we will work with you for 15 days and you'll get a daily email from us. And therefrom, we will allow you to establish how effective this has been. They're free sessions, so try the 15-day free session.
Amazing. Wow, what an offer. And we're going to put this all in the show notes as well as the website. And as we wrap it up today, Tom, this is, again, I think I have to go back and listen to this recording because this is like, again, just so much information and so innovative. And I think we have to step away from what we normally see as cause and effect and really start to look at information and just understand just this is a different realm we're talking about. So is there anything else that you wanted to share or talk about before we concluded today?
Yeah, let's conclude with this. Scalar energy. Do we have that? Yes. It's thinking. When you think, it's a scalar wave. Your thoughts, your emotions are scalar waves. So God has given everybody thought and emotions. A thought and emotions transcend time and space. Scalar energy transcends time and space. A thought is a scalar wave. An emotion is a scalar wave. There's no physical barrier. You cannot prevent a scalar wave from reaching its mark. You cannot prevent a thought or a feeling from reaching its mark. Nothing can stop a scalar wave. There's no physical barrier that can stop scalar energy. So there's no physical barrier that can stop your thoughts, your emotions, your feelings, because they are from God. Tap into the scalar energy source. We all have that gift.
Wow. So good. So good. Thank you so much for that. That was so powerful. And again, I hope if you're watching on audio, you check out the video because you're going to see some really insane things here in the back. So Tom, thank you so much for this time. And thank you again for sharing your insight and for doing the work that you're doing. It's been such a pleasure speaking with you today.
My pleasure. Thank you.